Hello and welcome to this week's Hashtag Toe to Toe. I'm Andy Scott and I'm joined by Spencer Fearon and the editor of Boxing News, Matt Christie. Matt, thank you very much for joining us. We've had plenty of tweets in this week, but before we get to that, I'd like to get both of your opinions on the weekend's events. And there is only one place to start, and that is in Las Vegas with the result of Triple G against Canelo Alvarez, the draw. Discuss.
Well, do you know, on the surface, if it had just come back and it was a draw, we didn't get to see the judges' scorecards. You could look at it and you could go, OK, few close rounds there. Bottom line, though, bottom line, and it has to be the bottom line, there was an absolutely appalling sore thumb of a scorecard there. 118, 110, only Golovkin 2 rounds. I'm sorry, that's nonsense.
It was actually, I mean, what was your reaction at the time when you heard that scorecard read out, Spencer?
Last time we heard 118 and 110, we have to go back to 1987, Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler, where one judge saw it the same thing, that Guerrero and Juan Guerrero. So it's not like these things don't happen, but in a fight that was still close, don't get twisted and say the fight wasn't close. It was close because of the way how Canelo fought. But seriously, Golovkin did win the fight.
Close enough, but it wasn't one of those ones where people are going to have scream-ups about it.
No,
is it fair to say it wasn't a particularly hard fight to score? Is that fair enough? That the rounds that were clear, and actually, if you were following the fight on social network, you're going to win the fight by 2 or 3 rounds. Fair enough?
Okay, but I'm saying this: who threw the more eye-catching punches in the fight?
You would say Canelo.
Right,
you would say Canelo threw the more eye-catching punches.
Okay, and if we look at Canelo's...
But he didn't throw as many.
Yeah, I know. But if we look at Canelo's resume, Canelo has this way of just doing enough to steal rounds. We saw this in the Lara fight. We saw this in the Austin Trout fight. There was no big scream-ups over it, right? So there's a big scream-up now. There wasn't a big scream-up. So now we're seeing the same. We're seeing a big scream-up now because he's fighting Golovkin, who we're looking at this new Saviours boxing. Seriously, Golovkin, it was handled wrongly. But if I looked at the scoring in itself, so if you gave the first 3 rounds to Canelo, which a lot of people I spoke to online did, and if you gave the last 3 to Canelo, then that means that fight's a draw.
Yeah, well, look,
So
we'll come back now that Canelo knows he can't hurt him. What do you think to that?
I wouldn't agree with that, to be honest. Even before the scorecards were read out, the way that Canelo came back into the fight over the last 3 rounds, I thought was exceptionally impressive. He was almost beating Golovkin at his own game. So at the end of it, I thought, OK, Golovkin's got this one, and I thought fairly closely, but I would have been fascinated to see...
Without the controversy, the rematch.
But I already wanted to see a rematch, because if Canelo had started doing that round 6-7, then we could have had a different fight. We'd be having a different discussion now.
OK, well, you're going to have more of a say in the podcast. I actually can't wait for that, so make sure you catch the full podcast later. Let's get on to some of the other things that happened at the weekend. Callum Smith, Jez Batchelor, I think that's right, Gez or Jez. After Callum Smith got caught so often with Scoglan's jab on Saturday, do you favour Groves to win if they should meet in the final? That's a great question, because a lot of people say that George Groves' best weapon is his jab.
George Groves has an excellent jab. It's a very, very well-timed jab. Like, sometimes he can throw it from up here, from a tall guard, or he can throw it down low where you can't see it if you're going to attack. It will trigger his jab from there. You can't see the jab. I would say on the performance that Callum Smith gave on the weekend, he'd have to come better than that to be against George Groves. But Scoglan, what a tough campaigner. He surprised me. Like, he came to fight. And fair play to Callum Smith, because he had to change his game plan up a little bit, got busted, was bleeding. And you know what, fair play to him. I put a lot of that down to maybe ring rust and like anxiety as well. And we'll see how he performs later on in his competition.
Groves, Callum Smith, I mean, there's a lot of other people in the tournament that are going to have their say, but if they did meet in the final, that would be a great fight, wouldn't it?
It would be a great fight. And I think the important thing here is that Callum Smith came through and he won a tough fight. Groves has come through some tough fights recently, and he's got the win as well. So yeah, it's all nicely poised at the moment. Yeah,
looking forward to seeing how he gets on against Jamie Cox. Norman Barton has said Luke Campbell beating Jorge Linares would be up there with Lloyd Hunnigan's victory over Donald Curry, in my honest opinion. Will he do it, and how? That's to both of you.
Okay, can we just address this Donald Curry Lloyd Hunnigan comparison? This wouldn't be a Donald Curry Lloyd Hunnigan.
You don't think it would be as good as
Donald Curry was ranked pound for pound #1 fighter in the world at a time when you had Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns around. And right, so no, that doesn't compare. But
But that's Norman's opinion.
Right, that's
so,
Norman. That's right. Norman's a good guy. Norman's a good guy.
Just because his opinion doesn't agree with you doesn't matter. He's allowed it. Let him have it.
Right, I'm calm now. I'm calm. You're a human.
But
right, I'm cool. But what I am saying is, look at the susceptibility that Linares has shown, especially if you look at when he fought DeMarco. Remember when he lost his world title against DeMarco? DeMarco's a southpaw, and he was tricky, and he applied pressure. Here you have a tall, gangly southpaw who throws a lot of punches, who's got quick hands, so he'd have to use the advantages that he's got, that he's a southpaw and he's quick. He's quicker than Linares, but he's got to be quick with the thinking as well, because Linares is a class act.
How do you see that one going at the weekend?
It's a difficult one. I think on paper you favour Linares, and it's not at mismatch levels, but you've got to say Linares wins this one fairly easily. But if you look a little bit deeper...
Is that your prediction?
No, that's not my prediction. That's not my prediction. But you would go a little bit deeper and look at what Campbell can bring to the table. And he's
Steve Parsons, do you think Hughie Fury has the tools to beat Joseph Parker, especially after seeing Parker struggle with his last opponent? His last opponent, obviously, was Razvan Kajanu.
His sparring partner.
So I saw Razvan Kajanu spar Charles Martin up in Big Bear. Yeah. And...
who got the better?
Kajanu. But I did think at the time, when that fight was made, Parker will make easy pickings of this, and he didn't. He had a fairly flat night, Joseph Parker. So if you were to take that last performance and apply it to Hughie Fury, you would say that Hughie Fury's got a great chance.
Okay, I'm saying.
But one bad performance doesn't.
Yeah. Are you saying it's a bad performance? I think maybe he had motivational issues going into that fight because his sparring partner, his original opponent, pulled out. But what I am saying is this. On that performance, I would think that hands down that Fury has a chance of winning this fight on the weekend. This is a very competitive heavyweight title fight. We have to be realistic because the two guys actually do complement each other in what they do. They're both big men, but they both throw punches in spurts. And I think like the classier combinations, which are the faster and the quicker ones, come from Joseph Parker. But the educated stuff, I would say, actually come from Fury. I think Fury throws educated punches, and if he can stick to a game plan, he can cause an upset. Well, it wouldn't be that much of a big upset, but he can cause an upset. And you know what? I really like the Furies. I think they're good people.
Okay, this is a good one for you, Matt. How excited are you about the announcement of Rigondeaux versus Lomachenko, and who do you think will win? From Gez Bachelor again. That's two from Gez.
Do you know what? It's a wonderful matchup. I think boxing purists, boxing fans should get on this. This is fantastic. It really is. Two absolutely elite technicians. Who's going to win? I don't know. I mean, you'd favour Rigondeaux. He's the bigger man, but Lomachenko. Pretty sure that for every minute of every round, you're going to be absolutely glued to it.
Do you think the public will get behind this one? The reason I say that, you know why I'm saying that, don't you? Yeah. Because at times they can both be labelled as purists. I know Lomachenko recently has been very, very good to watch, very entertaining. Rigondeaux perhaps has that label of not always being good to watch, which is unfair.
Or too good for his own good.
Too good for his own good.
I would say that, but what I would look at the skills that both guys possess, and I think that Lomachenko's got something a little bit more than what Rigondeaux's got. Rigondeaux is fantastic. He's a purist. He's fantastic at what he does. But I would slightly favour the bigger man in this fight, and also the guy that is more aggressive. And if you look at it, Lomachenko is more aggressive, but then he's got this mad, it's freakish Matrix kind of.
Yeah, it's a great nickname,
yeah, like he has a glitch in it on some things, but he's very, very good. Lomachenko is, to me, the better of the two fighters. And I would slightly favour Lomachenko only because I've seen Rigondeaux go down a couple of times. Like he has lapses in concentration. Like he knows that I'm that good that I can. And he has these little lapses, get knocked down. And, oh well, I got to. That's why I got to pick Lomachenko in this fight.
Younger and fresher as well. I wonder if that might come into it by the time the fight comes around in December. Okay, last one. Henry Chard. How does the boxing world look upon sportsmen retiring from other sports and then deciding to become fighters?
What are we talking about here?
Well, let's not focus on anything in particular, but it is relevant this week with the fact that Rio Ferdinand announced that he wants to become a professional fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. I've got complete admiration for anybody that will get themselves into condition to go and fight, to go and have a boxing match. I think it's, but it's also, there's a reason why it's known as the hardest game. And if I'm being honest and I'm being frank, I think it's a bit of an insult to the hardest game.
Spencer?
Do you know what? I have to agree with him. It is a bit of an insult, but, and this is what I'm saying is this, and this is no disrespect to any small hall promoter because I've been down that road. But if you have a kid that is not the best of fighters, right? And you know he's not, but he sells 400 tickets, right? You're going to do your best to protect this kid, and you're going to get these guys in from Latvia or these, right? And to pad out his record.
Because it's the difference between you making a loss on the show and
exactly.
making a profit.
And when you look at it now, it's like because people have not, they've matched guys safely. Somebody like a Rio Ferdinand or anybody could sit there and say, you know what, I reckon I could do this. I reckon I could do this. At what level? I've seen Rio Ferdinand hit the pads and everything else. Right?
In an Instagram video where he's obviously not taking it seriously.
Okay, cool. But what I'm saying to you is this: like sometimes even when you're mucking around, you can see if someone's got something. I'm not knocking Rio's aspirations because he's a South London boy like me. I've known him for years. But what I am saying is like sometimes people are taking the mickey out of our sport. But also when you're padding out people who can't fight but they can bring revenue to you, you're also taking the mickey out of the sport as well. So I think the sport itself has to look at itself. Before we criticise anybody like a Rio Ferdinand fancying it, we'd have to criticise anybody who's padding out guys who we know can't fight. We're padding them out to get them wins and they get delusions of grandeur as well. So that's where I leave it.
Well, it's early days in that. Let's see how that pans out over the coming weeks, months. And see where it ends up. I'm sure we're going to touch on this later in the podcast, so make sure you join us. Thank you for sending all your tweets in, and make sure you catch the full podcast later on today. Thanks for joining us.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.